Inferno X has been fully revealed in Japan, which is part of our Phantasmal Flames set, which has the Mega Charizard XEX. Pokebeach.com has the translations, and we're going to go through them right now. Starting with Oddish, we have this 50 HP Oddish that evolves into this Gloom, which has the drooling attack for 1 grass that does 20 damage to all bench Pokemon, yours and your opponent's. It's a pretty cool spread option, and with the Vitality Forest, it's going to be pretty easy to get into grass Pokemon at any time. And then the Gloom's going to evolve into this Vileplume, which has pretty boring attack. The second attack for 1 energy, 60 damage. If this Pokemon was healed during this turn, does 120. It's pretty hard to heal these small Pokemon, but because of the spread damage of the Gloom, it is possible. Then we have the Mega Heracross EX, which is not that good. Has the Panzerhorn attack, 100 damage, plus it does additional damage for any damage that it took the last turn from your opponent. Then the second attack, 3 grass, 170, discard the top 2 of your deck. Not worth the 3 prize cards. Then we have this Ludicolo line, has the 70 HP Lotad. And then the Ludicolo, once during your turn, if you have a grass Mega Pokemon EX in play, you can heal 70 or 60 damage from one of your Pokemon. The main thing with this is that you could use it with Mega Venusaur, potentially, maybe even the Heracross. And with Vitality Forest, you can get into it pretty easily. Now, a really good card for grass that I kind of like seeing is this Genesect here. For 1 grass energy, Bug Cannon, choose one of your opponent's Pokemon. This attack does 20 damage for each grass energy attached to this Pokemon. So this is going to be like a nice little bench snipe. And with Meganium, you could double how much grass you have in play. And with the Mega Venusaur, you can move that energy to this Genesect if you like. I think this will be a pretty cool option. I don't know if it'll see play or not, but at least gives all these grass decks, which already have tons of utility, another option is pretty nice. Then we have this Nimble here with the low kicks. I like this attack right here, the jump shot 150. Shuffle this Pokemon and all cards attached into the deck. It wouldn't be great if Vitality Forest didn't exist, but the fact that you could just use this, get it into play all in one turn, and use it for just the ignition energy to hit 150 and then not leave it in play to be returned knocked out, I think that could see some play at some point. Here we have Charmander that has 80 HP. It has 2 retreat costs, but its ability, Nimble, if this Pokemon has no energy attached, its retreat cost becomes 0. This will be the only Charizard after rotation, Charmander after rotation, and I think this ability is pretty good, but it cannot be Buddy Buddy Poffin. We have the Charmeleon that has 110 HP, does 40 damage for 1 energy, and then the Mega Charizard XEX. 2 fire energy, Inferno X, discard any amount of fire energy among any of your Pokemon, and it does 90 for each, so this is going to be a huge, big hitter. And then one of the best single prize attackers in the set, this Moltres, it does 20 damage plus 90 if your opponent's active as an EX, so that's going to be 210. It's going to be able to hit Tail Mask for weakness, doing 220, and with Brave Bangle, it can even knock out things like Golden Go. So it's going to be pretty good. Then we have this Darmanitan, just not good enough. It does 40 damage plus 40 for each fire energy. So even if you use all 4 colorless to make as fire, it's still not going to do enough damage. This Reshiram is pretty interesting. 4 fire energy, 240 damage. Does 60 to itself. With the Oricorio EX right here, we're going to see that this requirement could be met with just the Oricorio if we're playing like the Mega Charizard, or it could be used in the Mega Camera Up deck also, because this Oricorio, as often as you like during your turn, if you have any Mega Fire Pokemon evolution in play, you can use this ability, attach fire energy from your hand to one of your benched Pokemon, and there's a supporter that lets you get as much fire energy as you're ever going to need, so this won't be hard to set up. Getting a new Charcadet that has the Gather Power attack. Search your deck for up to 2 basic energy, reveal them, put them into your hand. And then the Cerulege that does 220, where you have to discard 5 fire energy from your hand, or the attack does nothing. This is also a pretty good hitter, but between it and the Reshiram, they are fairly different, because the Reshiram is going to require you to have this Oricorio most likely set up, or the Embor from Black and White that lets you attach as much fire energy from hand as possible, but fire is getting some pretty good tools here. Now onto some water Pokemon. We have this Dugong ability. This takes 30 less damage. from attacks of your opponent's fire and water Pokemon, so not that good. We have another Mamoswine line here, and we have this Mamoswine for 3 colorless, 120. If there's a stadium in play, it does 120 more, so that'll be 240. Then you discard the stadium. This could be used for ignition energy. I don't see this being too relevant, but there is the Mamoswine EX this could pair with and potentially just give the deck the a cornerstone counter that it really didn't have before. Since this doesn't have an ability, this is going to be able to knock out, Crustle. It comes a little short on Crustle since it only does 240, and a lot of times they're using Hero's Cape or Luxcape to have 250, so. But still, pretty good option for the Mamoswine deck. We have the Suicune, does 30 if you have 3 or more water energy in play total. It does 90 more. They gave us a Raikou in Mega Evolution that does the same thing for lightning Pokemon. We have Piplup here, 70 HP, call for support, so the attack searches a supporter. Not the best attack, but it's an option. Then the Empoleon is actually metal, so it's going to be somewhere else on this list. Alright, we have the Rotom EX multi-adapter attack. Your opponent with Rotom in their name can have up to 2 tool cards. This will pair with all the Rotoms they gave us recently that have the attack for 2 colorless that do extra damage for how many tools they have. So but putting this little 2-prizer in play is still going to be tough with the deck. But that deck is pretty cool, and you can abuse Brave Bangle and Bravery Charms to beef them up, or even Luxurious Cape to, beefing them way up. I think it'll be pretty cool. Not a meta deck, but a fun option. You can hit for lots of different weaknesses, as there's many different types of Rotom. Their main concern is they take 2 colorless, so you might have to play counter gain to be able to get the attack off sometimes, and it's a little hard to set up since they're not evolution. You can't use ignition energy, and we don't have like a double turbo right now. Alright, some more lightning Pokemon. These are all not too relevant. We have this Palmot here for double lightning, 130 damage. You can do 60 damage to itself to leave the opponent's active paralyzed. But on a stage 2, I don't really think this is going to see play, but guaranteed paralyzation is pretty good. Alright, we have this Mismagius EX, which is going to make Confusion a little more relevant. Its ability, if this Pokemon is in your active spot and your opponent switches their active during their turn, their new Pokemon is confused. So Confusion not being a guaranteed status, being on a coin flip isn't the best, but it can be very annoying for the opponent. And then for 2 Psychic Energy, 150 damage, draw until you have 6 cards in your hand. And Psychic is getting the acceleration item, the Wonder Patch that lets you attach energy, so this won't be too hard to use. Let's see, got a Cottony and a Whimsicott. This heals all damage from one of your bench Pokemon. Not going to be too relevant. Getting a Zacian here that has 50 damage plus if your opponent has 3 or fewer prize cards, 90 more. So for Psychic Colorless can do up to 140. Alright, we have this Bramblegast that has the Panic Prison ability. When you play this Pokemon from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon during your turn, you can leave your opponent's active poison. So this is going to work with the Mismagius to just keep your opponent constantly poisoned. Psychic's getting the Suspicious Clock item card that lets you pick up a Psychic Evolution, so you can evolve into this way more often than you would most Pokemon and just keep that going. I don't think it's going to be too good, but you could have some fun with that. Alright, we got the Paldean Tauros here fighting. This attack does 40 damage for each damage counter on all of your Pokemon with Tauros in your name. Don't think we're going to be seeing a Tauros deck anytime soon. Let's see, I don't think this is too relevant. We got the Trapinch here, which is going to evolve into this Flygon with the Flapping Sand ability. When you play this Pokemon from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon during your turn, or when this Pokemon is knocked out by damage, you may discard 2 cards from the top of your opponent's deck. Not too relevant, just not enough mill, I don't think, to see a lot of play. Have the Sneasel that evolves into this Weavile that for 2 dark energy does 20 damage. And if this Pokemon has 50 HP or less, this attack does 170 damage. So it's going to be hard to get that amount of damage on this to be able to make it relevant, but it would be a pretty good hitter if we can set that up. There is going to be some dark acceleration that does damage, but I still just don't see the C in play right off the bat. Have the 70 HP Carvana for the Mega Sharpedo that has 330 HP. For 1 dark energy does 70 damage and you draw 2 cards. For 2 dark energy, the Hungry Jaw attack 120 plus 150 if it has any damage on it. I really like this Mega Sharpedo. Using the Toxicity that we're about to see, it's easy to get the damage on it and accelerate the energy. It has free retreat. And while 270 is not a lot of damage, if you pair this with like Monkey Dory or even potentially Binding Mochi is a way I've been liking it, you can reach those higher numbers to take big knockouts. Here we have this Seviper with the Excite Power ability. If you have a Dark Pokemon EX in play, this attack does 120 more damage to your opponent. So 240, but the problem is going to be getting this fighting energy, or dark energy on here. The Toxicity can make that happen though, so that this might be a better one prize attacker than the Weavile that we saw up here, but it is going to require you to have a EX Pokemon in play. Alright, have a new Sandile line. Let's see. Revenge Fang for 1 dark, 60 plus. If one of your Pokemon was knocked out last turn, it's going to do 160 more. And here's the Toxicity line that we were talking about. The Toxel has 70 HP, so we're going to be able to Poffin for it, and it has the Call for Family Attack to get 2 basic Pokemon to help set up. And the Toxicity, the bad upper ability, once during your turn, you may search your deck for 1 basic dark energy, put it on your bench darkness Pokemon, and you put 2 damage on that Pokemon. That's how you're setting up the Sharpedo to have damage on it and do that full 270 on its for 2 energy. Alright, here's the Empoleon EX. Its ability, counter stance, prevent all effects done to this Pokemon by attacks from your opponent's Pokemon. Damage is not an effect. For 2 metal and a colorless, 210 damage. During your opponent's next turn, it takes 60 less damage from attacks. So this is just kind of a big wall. They made it weak to dark, which isn't going to be very good in a set that has the Mega Charizard in it and all those other really good single prize attackers that are fire. So don't think this is going to be too relevant. I do like it, but just don't see it working out. Alright, we have a Bronzong, colorless, draw 3, and then this second attack, this attack does 40 damage for each Pokemon tool card attached to all your Pokemon in play. This could see a little bit of play with the Rotom deck. It would attack for just Ignition Energy, which like I said, the Rotoms are missing like a 1 energy to fulfill their requirements, so this could be an option. Alright, let's see. Find a Friend, that's not going to do us much. We have a new Duraludon here, 130 HP, 3 metal, 70 damage, discarding energy from your opponent. I don't know if this is going to be better than the current Duraludon. Archaludon, 3 metal, 120. During your opponent's next turn, this Pokemon can't be damaged by attacks from your opponent's basic Pokemon. Once again, this could be a new tool for the Archaludon EX decks, but I don't believe it's going to be that relevant for it. We have the Jigglypuff here, which the Wigglytuff has this round attack, 40 damage. This attack does 40 damage for each of your opponent Pokemon in play that have the round attack. We did get a recent evolution line. I cannot remember what Pokemon right at the moment that had the round attack, but they didn't give it to the Jigglypuff, so that's going to hurt this a little bit. Have Apom here. We have, for 3 colorless, discard 2 energy, 60 damage to 2 of your opponent's Pokemon. We can use it for Ignition Energy, but this just isn't enough damage to be relevant. Let's see. Alright, we have the Zigzagoon, Linoon. If this Pokemon is on your bench and you have a Pokemon EX in play, you may use this ability, switch it with your active Pokemon. So this ability's pretty good. It has 1 retreat call, so with either Rescue Board or Air Balloon, it'll have free retreat. And it's going to work well with this Mega Lopunny EX. So for 1 colorless Gale Thrust, 60 damage. If this Pokemon is on your bench, this attack... If this Pokemon was on your bench this turn and moved to the active, this does 170 more damage. So 230 for 1 colorless. The Linoon's going to help us move it around. Not great on a 3 prizer, 330 HP stage 1, but that's probably going to be the best way to play it. And we're making a deck list for each mega on the channel, as you've probably seen, so we'll be making this deck here soon. Now onto some trainer cards. We have Jumbo Ice, heal 80 damage from your active Pokemon that has 3 or more energy attached. Not going to be too relevant. The Heat Burner is pretty insane for fire. You discard a fire energy, then you choose either a Pokemon tool, special energy, or a stadium that your opponent has in play, and you discard it. So just some good utility. Won't see a lot of play, but this, you'll have to remember this, since it just, at any point in the meta, if, there's good variability between these, this is going to give fire a big option. The Sacred Charm, Pokemon this is attached to takes 30 less damage from your opponent's Pokemon that have abilities. This can be used on EX Pokemon, which is going to be pretty interesting. I don't see it seeing play right away, but maybe at some point there will be a use case for this card. Grimsley's Move. Look at the top 7 cards of your deck. Choose a Darkness Pokemon you find there and put it onto your bench. This could be used to set up things like Mega Gengar. Like if you can go Secret Box, get Mega Signal, Academy at Night, and just set this up with and grab Grimsley Move with the Secret Box and set that up. Don't think it's going to be worth it, but it'll make for some fun play. I'm pretty excited about this trainer card here, Dawn. Search your deck for a basic Pokemon, a stage 1, and a stage 2, and reveal them. I think the best use for this is going to be decks that are playing Vitality Force, because this, like, you can grab the whole Meganium line and just get into it the same turn. Other than that, I don't think many other decks will take as much use for this, but for grass decks, this supporter could be a huge inclusion. Fire Breather, search your deck for up to 7 fire energy and put them into your hand. This is going to go with Mega Charizard, using the Oricorio to set up. And you saw the Cerulege that needs extra energy to discard. The item we just looked at, the Heat Burner. This is pretty crazy, but you're going to have to play more fire energy than we were used to playing in decks like Charizard. But you could even use this with Golden Go just to get a bunch of energy in hand, and then the Golden Go can take advantage of some of these good attackers. Like they could either play the Cerulege. Golden Go's been known to play Cerulege EX in the past. Now we have the single prizer that could work with it also. This card's pretty crazy. Then we have Battle Coliseum here, a stadium. Prevent all damage counters from being placed on bench Pokemon, both yours and your opponent's, by the effects of attacks or abilities. This, I mean, it's a counter for like Dragapult and Monkey Dory and even Dusknoir. But it being a stadium, it can be bumped pretty easy. It only protects the bench Pokemon, so Dusknoir could still just pop onto the active. We have the Psyduck that's going to protect against that, so I mean, we do have a whole nother year after rotation with Monkey Dory, so this could see play, and Dragapult for that year also, but not as good as it looks at first glance. Then we have the Vertigo Valley Trainer Stadium. Confused Pokemon don't recover when they evolve, so this is just to be used with the Meganium deck. Not too relevant, but if you want to play Confusion, this is going to let you keep your opponent's Pokemon confused more often. Overall, the set looks pretty fun. Seems like fire Pokemon are getting the most out of it. Let me know what decks you're excited to build out of this. Good luck and have fun.